The World War losses were in fact sunk by submarines, and where they were sunk in the middle of the ocean, middle of the North Atlantic where most of them went down, there's nothing whatever you could do. There's about 80,000 tons of copper down there, and it'll never, ever be cheaper to get that up than it will be to go and buy some stuff that's just been dug out of the ground somewhere. So one was only ever interested in the cargoes on the continental shelf.
Once the shipwreck was found, the first key task was to moor the salvage vessel over the wreck. 6 anchors were placed around the circumference of the salvage site. By simply letting out or taking in the anchor cables, the salvage vessel could position itself precisely anywhere above the wreck site. The next order of business was to cut into the ship to gain access to the cargo holds. Explosives placed near the seabed along the bilge keel would cause the sides of the ship to collapse outward. After the blast, the ship would be opened up like a clamshell. Once the overlying cargo on the upper decks was removed and discarded, the heavier cargo of metal on the lower decks would be exposed and ready for salvage.
Once the grab come down, it was quite easy to work because you had communications with the surface. You would tell them which way you wanted to move, 10 feet this way, 10 feet that way, and it was quite easy to move the ship to starboard, to port, to head or stern, whatever you wanted to do.
The operation relied primarily upon heavy equipment and machinery, requiring patience, skill, and expertise, which could only be obtained through experience. Once the operation began, the process was repeated over and over. The grab would be lowered to the bottom, where it closed on the cargo and lifted it back to the salvage vessel's deck. The crew would sort through the recovered debris, and the ingots were separated out and stored in the hold. The process continued until the desired cargo had been acquired. At this point, the salvage director would call an end to the operation, and the vessel would either move on to the next wreck or return to port to discharge the cargo.